Hey there, high level listeners. Welcome back to our high level listening English learning podcast, where you learn real, everyday American and British English through interesting stories and conversations. Here's my question for you today. Are you more of a coffee drinker or do you prefer tea? Hi, everybody. I'm Kat, your friendly American English teacher.
And I'm Mark, a British English teacher from the UK. And yes, today we're going to be sharing our preferences for coffee or tea, how we like to make it or how we like to drink it and where we drink it as well. So, like always, we'll share our own stories, which will be full of useful phrases for having a cup of coffee or having a cup of tea. And like always, we'll use our little flags to tell you if something is very American English or more British English.
If you really like our episodes, you can find lots of helpful bonus materials like study guides, PDF transcripts, MP3 downloads, and lots more in our high level listening store on PayHip. It's a really great way to learn even more from our episodes and support us at the same time. You can find all of those links in the description below.
Okay, so let's start with today's stories. Kat will go first, and today I'll ask, are you more of a coffee drinker or do you prefer tea?
I am a huge coffee drinker. I've got this little local coffee shop just down the street, and honestly, it's one of my favorite cozy spots because the big chains are always packed. The staff are always super friendly, they always remember my order, and the whole place smells like roasted coffee beans. I usually go for a medium iced latte. Sometimes I add a little vanilla or pumpkin spice, but I usually take it without sugar. The place I like also has really good freshly baked pastries, so sometimes I'll treat myself to a little muffin with my coffee.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a nice little coffee shop.
Absolutely. So, what about you, Mark? Are you more of a coffee drinker or do you prefer tea?
I'm more of a tea person than a coffee drinker. At work, I always look forward to my little tea break mid-morning. I'll head to the break room, boil the kettle, pop in the tea bag while I wait for the water. Once it's ready, I'll give it a stir and let it steep for a couple of minutes, and then I add a splash of milk. I don't take sugar, but sometimes I'll grab a biscuit to go with it if I'm feeling peckish. Then I usually just go back to my desk and sip my tea while it's nice and hot. So yeah, I'll wave my flag on myself for that one, for that very British answer.
That was so British. That was so British. Yeah.
Okay, so those are our stories about coffee and tea. Don't worry if you didn't catch everything the first time. We're about to go back to the beginning and go through them again. And we'll focus on the best vocabulary and the best expressions about drinking tea and drinking coffee. So, back to the start of your story, Kat. Do you prefer tea or coffee?
I am a huge coffee drinker. Okay. So, this is kind of an interesting way to say I love coffee. I love coffee. I am a huge coffee drinker. I'm a huge fan of coffee, right? We're always a little bit dramatic with our language when we love something. So I'm a huge coffee drinker. Now, why am I using drinker? Because that's the person, a coffee drinker. I'm a huge coffee drinker. What would be the equivalent, Mark, to saying something like that, like something dramatic, like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with tea or something like that?
Right, I think it would be very similar. I'm a huge tea drinker,
Easy.
or I absolutely love tea.
hmm you could even say like soda drinker or like Coke drinker, things like that. So when we're talking about those things and we really like it, I'm a huge coffee drinker.
Yeah, there's a few of those weird exceptions. In American and British English, I'm a movie goer, you would say, or
Okay,
I'm a steak lover,
that's a good
and I'm
one.
a
I like those
coffee
too.
drinker. Yeah,
Yeah, those are good. I like those ones. What about you, Mark? Do you prefer tea or coffee?
or I'm more of a tea person than a coffee drinker. So I drink both. I drink tea and I drink coffee. But which one do I like more? I'm more of a tea person. I'm more of a tea person. You can change the word tea to anything else. I'm more of a football person. I'm
Mm.
more of a chocolate person. And it means that I prefer tea. I prefer chocolate. I prefer that. I'm more of a blah blah person. That's not to say that I don't like coffee. I do like coffee. I do drink coffee. But if I have to choose one side by side, I'm more of a tea person than a coffee drinker. So the reverse for Kat would be I'm more of a coffee person than a tea drinker. So
Mm.
the one that wins, it's a nice way to say that you like two things, but you like one of them a little bit more. I'm more of a tea person than a coffee drinker. Okay, so let's keep talking about American coffee. Where do you get your coffee?
At this little local coffee shop just down the street. I've got. It's kind of another way to say there is, right? But it kind of sounds more personal, right? It's like, oh, in my neighborhood, I've got this, we've got this. So I've got this little local coffee shop. So let's start with little. So it just means usually if it's a little cafe, it might mean that it's not a big chain. Like it's not a Starbucks, right? It's just a little local coffee shop. Local being that it's probably owned by somebody in your community. It's probably owned by somebody that lives in your city, and those are the people who are working there and who own it. So I've got this little local. Oh yeah, what do you think, Mark?
I was going to wave it for coffee shop
Coffee
because do
shop,
you ever
coffee
call
shop.
it a cafe? Would that be
Um,
weird to call it a cafe?
Even when you pronounce it, you say cafe, right? You say
Mm.
cafe. We would call it a cafe, like a cafe, but that sounds really fancy. So even Starbucks, I would say, is a coffee shop, right? A Starbucks cafe is fine, but we do use the word coffee shop a lot. Yeah,
Mm.
it's just kind of a natural. Yeah, there's like this little coffee shop near me, little cafe near me. But I really think of
See.
cafe as like very European, right?
Right. Okay. So in the UK, a cafe is more common, just a little local cafe. Or we've got this little local cafe down the road.
Cafe,
Mm.
cafe.
Yes.
So we have this little local coffee shop just down the street. So where is it? It's just down the street. Now we often use down, up, just up the street, kind of as north, but sometimes it just means very close, just down the street. All right. So Mark, you normally like tea. Do you drink it every day?
Yes, I do. At work, I always look forward to my little tea break mid-morning. So at work, I always look forward to my little tea break mid-morning. So I drink tea at work, and that is very, very common in the UK. And often British people will drink 4, 5, or more cups of tea every day. They'll drink it throughout the day, usually 2 or 3 hours apart. And because it's part of my routine, I'm excited to drink tea. Maybe I had a cup of tea at home, then I arrived at work, and then I get another cup of tea because it's been 2 hours. So I always look forward to, or I'm excited about, my little tea break. So Kat said a little local coffee shop, little like small. For me, my little tea break means it's short. I only need 10, 15 minutes to have a tea break. A tea break is quite a common part of British routines. It's 10 or 15 minutes where you make a cup of tea and drink it. Usually you'll stand up, go away from your desk to make a cup of tea. You can have a tea break, go on a tea break. You can enjoy a little tea break. I always look forward to my little tea break mid-morning. Morning is the middle of the morning. That could be between 9 or 10 a.m.,
Mhm.
maybe 10:30. This is again common for British people to get to work at maybe 9, do a little bit of work, and then, oh, it's 10 o'clock. It's time for my little
You
tea
mean
break.
barely an hour, barely an hour of work
Exactly.
before, oh,
Yeah.
time for my coffee break,
We're very
time for my tea
thirsty. Yeah.
break.
We're so thirsty. Exactly. We need tea to run. So it's common to see people who have 3 or 4 tea breaks during their working day. That's quite common. Okay, so back to coffee on your side. Uh, you mentioned your little local coffee shop. Why do you like that place so much?
Honestly, it's one of my favorite cozy spots because the big chains are always packed.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got the little local coffee shop and the big chains. Okay. So chains, chain supermarket, a chain restaurant, a chain coffee shop. A chain is where you have the same brand and lots of stores are exactly the same. So it's kind of like they're all connected. So a big chain supermarket or a big chain coffee shop like Starbucks, that's a big chain, right? They're kind of copy paste and they're all connected. So this place, this little local place of mine, it's one of my favorite cozy spots. Now, a spot is a very common word to use for a place. And it could be anything, a restaurant, a coffee shop, a spot in the park, right? A place, just your own little space, right? So it's one of my favorite cozy spots. Something that's cozy, it's a nice way to say it is comfortably small, right? Nice and
Okay.
cozy. It's not cramped and it's not packed with people. It's just cozy. Feels warm, welcoming, relaxing. And the big chains are always packed. Remember, the big chains are the big companies, copy paste, and those are always packed. packed, packed. This is a very negative word. It means crowded, but it also means that everybody's pushing together. As an American, I need my space. I need my space. I have my own personal bubble. So when there's lots of people in a crowded area, it's too many people for me. All right. And if it's packed, I prefer my little cozy spot down the street. All right. So, Mark, you're on your little tea break. Do you kind of have a spot that you can go have your tea break? I know you said you like to get away from your desk.
Mm. I'll head to the break room, boil the kettle, and pop in the tea bag while I wait for the water. So, where do I drink my tea? I'll head to the break room. So, in British offices, again, you do not have to leave the office to go out and have tea. The office is almost expected to provide tea for you, to have tea bags in the break room. Some people might bring them from home and put them in the office as well. Yeah, if it's coffee, you maybe have to get up and leave the building to go to a cafe
Oh,
to find it.
really?
But if you want
Okay.
tea, yeah, it would be, uh, I can't even imagine an office without tea bags. People,
Okay.
the workers would be furious. So I'll head to the break room. I'll head to the break room. I'll go to the break room. And in the break room, to make tea, I need a kettle. Aha, there we go. A kettle. I didn't realize that other countries don't have kettles, or especially in the US, a kettle is kind of rare or a
They're
unique thing to have.
they're becoming more popular. But when I was a kid, the first time I ever saw a kettle was when I was traveling and I was like 17,
Okay.
18 years old. Um,
Wow.
and I was like, what is that? They're like, oh, it's a kettle to
What's this
boil water.
machine?
And I was like, but it's a machine. Now we have a kettle, Mark, that we would put on the stove top, but that takes forever.
Right.
We don't have the electric kettles. They're becoming more
Ah,
popular now. It's more common now, but it's definitely not something I grew up with.
right. Yes, that's a good point. That when I say kettle, I instinctively mean an electric kettle you
Mm.
plug in. But yes, so every British household must have a kettle. Every hotel room in the UK, even if it's a cheap 1-star hotel, they will have tea bags and a kettle at least. So I'll head to the break room, boil the kettle. Boil the kettle means turn it on and make the water hot inside it. It takes 2-3 minutes. While I'm waiting for the water, I'll pop in the tea bag. So you have your empty cup, you will have a box of tea bags. Pop in the tea bag. Pop, again, a British verb that we love to use, in this case means put. Put in the tea bag, pop in the tea bag. I'll say pop because it takes 1 second. A tea bag is light and fast. Pop in the tea bag while I wait for the water. So yes, the tea break, or my little tea break, is often in the break room where there's a kettle and I can pop in the tea bag.
Mark, would you like to start a fight with me and my American culture?
Yes,
So,
always.
the
Yes.
typical way that I used to make tea is I used to take a cup of cold water and I would put the
Mm.
cup into the microwave, and the microwave would heat the water. I would take the cup out with the water, I'd put the tea bag in on top, and then I would wait for it to steep.
That's disgusting. I think I'm gonna I think I'm gonna be sick. I mean,
So,
if you don't
and I
have a
still
kettle,
do it like that
I
today.
understand.
Even though we have a kettle now, it's a little bit easier. But if I don't want to wait for a whole kettle to boil, I will pop it into the microwave.
That's, I mean, you can tell me that because we know each other, but don't, if you tell someone that on the street in the
If
UK,
I want to start a
I
fight,
can't
if I want to
protect
start a
you.
fight
Yeah,
with
I
another
can't protect
culture.
you.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, if you want to reheat a cup of tea, that's fine. If it's gone cold, you can pop it back in the microwave and heat it up. That's allowed. That's the only circumstance that's allowed.
Anyway, I
Otherwise,
don't
yeah,
want to fight. I don't want
deported.
to fight today. But so
It's
let's move
okay.
on to
So
our next
kettle,
vocabulary word.
poor kettleless Texas, the poor people, they have to make do. Okay, so back to your cozy coffee shop. What makes that place so special?
The staff are always super friendly. They always remember my order, and the whole place smells like roasted coffee beans. Okay, so the staff. Okay, the staff. Now, the staff are people who work at a place. So you have restaurant staff, coffee shop staff, people who work there, hotel staff. And you don't need to add an S to it. It's already a group noun. So you have the staff, and they are always super friendly. I mean, I wonder if they're just Americans who just enjoy their job, but they are always super friendly. They always remember my order. You've got a really good relationship with a local place when they remember your favorite food and your favorite drinks, right? So they always remember my order. So my order is what I want, one medium coffee. That's my order. And the whole place smells like roasted coffee beans. Now, when you
It's
have
nice.
coffee, you have coffee beans. Okay, so the little large pieces. Normally, they grind the coffee. So, ground coffee, they grind the coffee, basically, push it into small little pieces. Oh, sorry, but I forgot a step. You roast the coffee beans. Roasting is when we put them into the oven on high heat, and it just really unlocks that
Mm.
smell and that flavor. And then you grind up the beans and you put it with some water, right? And that's how you make coffee. And the whole place smells like roasted coffee beans. It's sometimes in my shirt after I
I
go
love that
there
smell.
too.
When you open the door of a coffee shop and it hits you, that smell. Yes,
It
that gives
smells
me energy.
delicious. I know it's already a boost.
Mm.
Okay, so I know we fought a little bit earlier about how we make coffee, excuse me, how we make tea, but how do you make it exactly?
So I boil the kettle, pop in the tea bag. Once it's ready, I'll give it a stir and let it steep for a couple of minutes.
Hmm.
Then add a splash of milk. So once it's ready, when it's ready, I'll give it a stir. I'll give it a stir. This might be a quite British way. Give it a something. If you have an action, if you're giving an instruction how to do this, you can share the steps by saying give it a and then an action. So I want to stir the tea bag. I'll give it a stir. If I want to shake my smoothie, I'll give it a shake. Or maybe I'm on a computer. I want to click the icon. I'll give it a click. So this is quite a British way when you're telling people what to do. So pop in the tea bag, give it a stir it, and let it steep. Let it. Don't touch it anymore. Let it be. Let it rest. Let it go. Let it steep. Steep is a very specific word. The tea bag is now in hot water. When the tea bag steeps, it sits there and the flavors from the tea bag go into the water and the flavor gets stronger, the smell gets stronger, the tea or the water gets darker and it turns that brown orangey color. Steep is when the bag is sitting in the water and the flavors are mixing in. That takes 2 or 3 minutes. The longer you let it steep, the stronger the tea becomes. So some people like to wait 2 minutes. Some people let it steep for 5 minutes if they like it strong. I let it steep. And the final step, add a splash of milk. Add a splash of milk. It's very common in the UK if we're talking about black breakfast tea. Lots of British people like a splash of milk. A splash is a small amount, not much. Some people ask for a lot of milk, or they like it milky. I don't like a lot of milk, just a splash of milk. If you are making a cup of tea for a British person, you should ask if they take milk or sugar. How much milk? How much milk? And they say, oh, just a splash, just a little bit. Okay, back to your cozy coffee shop. They remember your order. What is your usual order?
Well, I usually go for a medium iced latte. Sometimes I add a little vanilla or pumpkin spice, but I usually take it without sugar. Okay, so I usually going for something is when we choose something. So I went for this, or I went with this. It means that I had lots of options, lots of choices, and I usually go for a medium iced latte. Yeah, that's my normal choice. That's my usual order, right? So this is kind of how to set up your drink order. Usually we'll say the size. It's small, medium, or large. Small, medium, or large. So we'll usually say the size first. Then we'll say, let's see. So I said a medium iced latte. Now, normally if I said medium coffee, it's almost always hot, but I get a medium iced latte. ICED, medium iced latte. So I usually go for a medium iced latte. Sometimes I add a little vanilla or pumpkin spice, especially this time of year. A pumpkin spice latte is so good. It's so delicious.
It's so American at the same
And so
time.
American. I know.
Mhm.
So these are the syrups. These are the flavors. So if I wanted to say a medium iced vanilla latte, if I wanted to use all 4 words in one, medium iced pumpkin spice latte. So if you want to put the flavor there, put it next to the coffee. A medium hot vanilla coffee, something like that. But I usually take it without sugar. Just like Mark said, this is an interesting way that we use the word take. How do you take it? Meaning, how do you like it? How do you normally order it? I usually take it without sugar, meaning I drink my coffee with no sugar. I take it without sugar, without milk, without sugar, with milk, with sugar.
Nice. I like that you have this vanilla iced latte and then without the sugar, you're like, oh, it's healthy now. I didn't have sugar with it, even though it's covered in the
Well, they're
spices
sugar-free.
and the
They're
syrup.
sugar-free.
Oh, fair enough.
Sugar-free
Okay, fair
syrup.
enough.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Pumpkin spice zero. Yeah.
So, do you add anything extra to your tea?
Yeah, that's a good question.
All right, Mark. So, if I'm hosting you at my house and you've asked for a cup of tea, I could say, oh, how do you normally take your tea?
Just a splash of milk, and I don't take sugar. Thanks. Kat asked a very, very important question. If you're making tea for a British person, how do you normally take your tea? How do you normally take it is also fine. So you can offer someone a cup of tea and say, would you like a cup of tea? And they say, oh, yes, please. the next question is, how do you normally take it? And they will tell you if they want milk or sugar. So for me, just a splash of milk. I don't take sugar. Again, like Kat's already mentioned, in English we'll say I have breakfast, I have lunch, I have a snack, but we'll say I take sugar. I take sugar in my tea, or I take sugar in my coffee. It's a weird collocation. So I don't take sugar. But sometimes I'll grab a biscuit to go with it if I'm feeling peckish. Sometimes I'll grab a biscuit to go with it. A biscuit, right? Okay, this might sound weird to Americans, but a biscuit is often something sweet, a round cookie-shaped thing. It may have chocolate on it, but a lot of biscuits in the UK are plain. They're made of wheat, and they're great with tea. I like to dunk a biscuit in the tea. You dunk, you put it in quickly, and eat it.
Are they always sweet? Like, do they always have a little bit of sugar?
A little bit, almost all of them, something a bit sweet.
Okay. It is at least a little bit sweet. It's not going to be just a salty cracker.
No, it's not a cracker. That's a good point. A cracker is very salty and dry.
And a cookie is sweet, and a biscuit is sweet, right?
Yes.
At least a little tiny bit.
Yeah, it's got a bit of sweetness in it. So I'll grab a biscuit to go with it if I'm feeling peckish. Peckish means, oh, I'm not hungry, but I could eat a little snack. Again, my tea break is mid-morning. It's only 10 a.m. It's too early for lunch, and I ate breakfast 2 hours ago. But when I'm feeling a little bit, I could eat something, I'm feeling peckish. I'm hungry enough to eat a small snack. I'm feeling peckish. So I'll grab a biscuit to go with my tea if I'm feeling peckish. Okay, right. Last part of your coffee story. You mentioned that you get the medium iced latte. Do you have anything else to go with it?
Yeah, the place I like also has really good freshly baked pastries. So sometimes I'll treat myself to a little muffin with my coffee.
Nice.
So, if you have a drink and you want something to go with it, a pastry might be a good idea. And the place I like, that little coffee shop, the place I like also has really good freshly baked pastries. Okay. Now, maybe the opposite of freshly baked might be store-bought, perhaps. Store-bought pastries come from the store, they're packaged, but freshly baked, meaning that they baked those things this morning, maybe even at the coffee shop. So they are freshly baked pastries. Pastries are any little baked kind of bread. It's usually a bit on the sweet side, but you could have something that's very buttery, like a croissant. Sorry for any of our French listeners. This is the American way to say croissant. As I know, it's not croissant, it's croissant. Sorry.
We say croissant. Do you want a croissant?
Brits are much more French in that way. So sometimes...
How dare you?
I knew that would... I wanted to fight with Mark today. That's all I wanted to do was argue today.
It's a fighting episode, yeah.
It's a fighting episode. So sometimes I'll treat myself. Okay. So Mark said sometimes if he's a bit peckish, he'll have a little biscuit. If I want something sweet, something nice to go with my coffee, I will treat myself. Oh, I don't really need it. I'm not really hungry, but it would be really nice, right? So I'll treat myself to a little muffin. Now, a muffin, I never see muffins really outside of the US all that often. But do you have muffins? Are muffins quite popular?
Yeah, definitely. Little cakes.
Yeah.
Muffins.
And so like a muffin would be baked in a tray in a little muffin cup. And then the top kind of looks like a little cloud. So that's a muffin. And I'll treat myself to a little muffin with my coffee too. So after your coffee break, you really should be going back to work, Mark. It's time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then I usually just go back to my desk and sip my tea while
Mm.
it's nice and hot. So I make my tea, I add a splash of milk, maybe grab a little biscuit. Then I just go back to my desk and sip my tea. We're talking about hot drinks here, hot coffee and hot tea. So when it's hot, you don't want to burn your mouth. So take a little drink is sip. You can sip coffee, sip tea, or even sip alcohol, sip wine, sip beer if you take a little drink. Because it's very hot, I don't want to burn my lips. I'll sip my tea. If I sip my tea, it also lasts longer. The best time to drink your tea is when it's nice and hot. We'll always put nice and something. Nice and cheap, nice and cozy, nice and clean, nice and hot. So I like to sip my tea while it's nice and hot. So yes, I did do some work then. My tea break, I just made my cup of tea and then went back to work and brought it back to my desk.
All right, excellent. So we had two really good stories. Let's hear them once more so you can kind of put all the vocabulary back into one place. Oh, yeah, I'm a huge coffee drinker. I've got this little local coffee shop just down the street, and honestly, it's one of my favorite cozy spots because the big chains are always packed. The staff are always super friendly, they always remember my order, and the whole place smells like roasted coffee beans. I usually go for a medium iced latte. Sometimes I add a little vanilla or pumpkin spice, but I usually take it without sugar. The place I like also has really good freshly baked pastries, so sometimes I'll treat myself to a little muffin with my coffee.
And here's my British story about tea again. I'm more of a tea person than a coffee drinker. At work, I always look forward to my little tea break mid-morning. I'll head to the break room, boil the kettle, and pop in the tea bag while I wait for the water. Once it's ready, I'll give it a stir and let it steep for a couple of minutes, then add a splash of milk. I don't take sugar, but sometimes I'll grab a biscuit to go with it if I'm feeling peckish. Then I usually just go back to my desk and sip my tea while it's nice and hot.
All right, so there you have it. Two very different beverage experiences and stories. Like always, tell us in the comments, which drink do you prefer? Are you a tea person or more of a coffee drinker? See if you can use some of the vocabulary from the episode. We read and reply to every single comment here on YouTube.
Yes, we genuinely do. And don't forget that if you want the full PDF transcript of this episode with vocabulary lists and listening activities for this episode and all of our other episodes, you can check out our study guide bundle. The link is for that is in the description below, and it's 20% off right now for over 80 episodes. So that's waiting for you there.
All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on High Level Listening.
Bye bye.